So this is the introduction to the first 5 sessions of To Live Well and To Do Well. And I suggest that you make a printout of the study sheets for these 5 sessions so you can follow as I go. Now, in preparing to lead each session, you will need to divide the time across the different points that are on the study sheet so that the session will flow. And it may help to write a timeline for the group to see, at least for the first session or two. Session 1, Group Practice. The session focuses on forming a group to work well together. So we begin by focusing on guidelines for a safe and supportive group experience. After you've settled the group and welcomed them, begin by playing my introduction, which is 12 minutes. Always start with the introductory video because it gives my overview of the session. And after you've watched that, then you hand out the printed study sheets. In step 1, the group discusses behaviours that make for a free and safe group. It's just a discussion at this stage. In step 2 and step 3, you go back to a page in the prologue and some other parts, and it enables the group to begin to link with the Rwandans, a connection that is important for the whole of the study. So now by step 4, you can create your group's list. Write up the agreements on a sheet or a board so that you can refer to them at every session. Rwandans love their list and they call it the rules of protection. Step 5 is a time to practice listening, and that will lay a foundation for the respect of one member of the group to the other. Step 6 is so important. It's critical. Each person must find someone to support them in between the sessions. Also, group members do not have to read any story in the book that troubles them. Encourage them just to leave it. Step 7 then links this first session with the following one, which normally will be in the following week. If you have any issues or questions after this or any other session, please email them to me. In case you'll need them, you notice that there is a list here of 7 guidelines for good listening. I'm not going to read them. You don't have this in any of the study sheets. You may find this useful. One further thought. You may want to return and to watch each of these sessions as you begin to prepare to run the session. You can watch this as many times as you feel like you need to. The idea is for you to be comfortable with a sense of flow from the beginning to the end. Session 2 is telling my story. Now we're still settling in, so you may want to write another timeline for this session. And this helps the group members share the responsibility for the use of the time. Today's session is about appreciating a part of another's life and doing that in a safe and a trusting group. It's also about learning to listen and to affirm without interrupting or correcting. So, begin with my introductory video, which is 8 minutes. Repeats the group agreements, which is a way of keeping the focus on freedom and safety. And check, does any group member want to suggest an addition to the list? Now please make sure also that each person now has someone who will support them or mentor them after every session. Steps 2 to 4 are group work. Step 5 relates the work back to Rwanda. And there's a new suggestion in step 9 that group members could view 3 short videos on Rwanda at home. These videos are available free online, and it means that group members can view the videos with friends or with family members. That brings us to session 3, the practice of grief. In this session, the experience of Rwandans will begin to touch the lives of some members of the group. Begin with my introductory video of 9 minutes. Now, part of the safe space is that persons are free to express their experiences with strong words and feelings. And in steps 2, 3 and 4, some in the group may become tense or they may become teary. So have those tissues ready and offer words of gentle support. But if somebody is weeping, allow that to occur. It's important not to stifle the feelings and to remind the group, this is okay. This is a moment to hold the tension. And that's why step 5 is 15 minutes of personal space where each person can just gather themselves in a quiet space before step 6. In step 6, be clear about keeping the focus on the left-hand side of the grief cycle. Talking in pairs helps everyone say something about the feelings that they can identify with. But focus on the left-hand side. We'll get to the bottom and the right-hand side in the coming sessions. Steps 7 and 8 will then help bring the feelings down to earth and remind the group to take seriously the message that a committed person or mentor can provide beneficial support at a time like this. Remind them too that professional help is also available if it is needed. Step 9 encourages group members to do something to express their feelings. And that brings us to session 4, grief and feelings. Begin with my introductory video of 8 minutes. Steps 2 and 3 invite those who are not practiced in appreciating their emotions to see that just as Josephine and Munyeli valued their feelings, so we too can value ours. And I guess that by now you've noticed that each of the tasks in the steps is the bit that's in italics. Steps 4 and 5 are about anger. Anger is neither good or bad in itself. Anger can energise us positively or negatively. And in step 6 and 7, we don't know which way we will respond until we can understand the feeling that lies underneath the anger. In the foreword to the book, Michael Lapsley says, "We all have the same ability to do good and to do evil." Now, this session may seem to overemphasize the negative emotions because its focus is the 4 dragons that lead us into violence and abuse, that are the destroyers of peaceful relationships. The steps that follow in this session lead us then to an unfinished exercise in step 8. In other words, each participant will benefit a lot if they spend more personal time thinking about this question and also in discussion with their support person. Now, should it be apparent to you that there is a lot of unhealed grief in the group, you may want to consider using a healing of the pain ceremony at some stage. Now, the guidelines for this are on the website toliveforgive.org. This brings us to session 5, valuing feelings. Begin with my introductory video, which is 4 minutes. And after the responses to step 1, plan a good amount of time for steps 2 and 3. This feedback of feelings reinforces the importance of being emotionally aware. Then read steps 4 and 5 without much discussion, and try to get to the end of step 5 within the first 50 minutes. Also, the discussions for steps 6 and 7 need to be brief. And that is because the story video takes 13 minutes and step 8 will need about 25 minutes because it's an important way of practicing the learning. But it is a great way to finish session 5.